long time ago, some point after one of our family vacations, every year we do a family backpacking trip, I share what I call lessons from the journey. And there are things that I learn from our trips, things that happen along the way, and I do it for a few reasons. And the first thing I want to say is this, the point of what I'm doing this morning is not to show you my vacation pictures. Now, I am going to show you some of my vacation pictures, but that's not the point. If I was going to show you vacation pictures, this would be one of the pictures I would show you. Well, no, go back. Stay there for just a second, right? This is one of the pictures that I would show you, but that's not what we're doing. I mean, it is what we're doing, but it's not what we're doing. What I hope will happen this morning is as I share some of the lessons that I've learned from the journey, maybe it will speak to you in some place you are in your journey right now, that will give you some insight, some understanding, some clarity, maybe some direction, maybe some pause, that our lessons from the journey might help you. But even more so than that, I want to inspire you, encourage you to think theologically. Now, theology is a fancy word for studying God, but think about where God is at work in your journey. Where is God moving in your life? Where do you need to stop and pause and think about, hey, what's going on here? And how is God moving? Where is God calling me to do? How is God calling me to respond to this? That maybe by listening, looking at some of the things that I do, that we do, that it might encourage you. And the other thing that I hope that would happen is I would love it if it inspired you to go outside. Because there is so much beauty and wonder and awe in the world, and God created it all. And we learn about our Creator from the things that He's made, and it can be real easy, especially when it's like 95 degrees outside and it's so hot and sweaty. It's like, man, okay, I get it. Stay in air conditioning today. Tonight, when the sun goes down, the moon is getting brighter and brighter as it gets closer and closer to full. Just look at what's out there and all the wonder and the awe and the beauty. So this year's journey was, every year it's a different versions of our family, but this year it was Kaylee, Deb, and me, and there's the theme of kind of my lessons from the journey. It doesn't always work out this year, but this year it did. The themes of this year's lessons was situational awareness. Situational awareness. What's going on in this situation, and how do I make sense out of what's happening here? So, first lesson from the journey starts with the word lost. Lost. I fell twice on the trail. In the first, 30 minutes. And I fell right after I had commented on how I started using trekking poles a couple years ago. And they're amazing because when you stumble, you can catch yourself. And my trekking poles have really, really helped me a lot. And like right out of the gate, I just said that like 2 minutes before, I hit a root, bam, on my face, busted up my elbow a little bit, just a little blood, nothing major. Pick up your feet, Tim, get up, start walking along. And then, just another mile later, same thing. Trip over something, fall down, laying on the ground, I lost. There's something about when you strap on, my pack was like 47 pounds onto your back. It does throw off your balance a little bit, and it takes you a minute to get used to that. I lost my balance. And the interesting thing about this was, when I lost my balance, it's like every time I did it, I said, hey, pick up your feet, Tim, because you're usually tripping over something. But it was mostly happening, well, actually it was not, the 2 times that it happened was on pretty solid trail. Like it wasn't like sometimes trails are steep and sometimes they're rocky. I mean, we're just like this kind of stuff, right? But maybe a little root in there. It wasn't in the hard stuff that I was falling down. And it's fortunate because when you fall on a trail like this, you're going uphill. You fall forward, which is always better than falling backwards. And especially like if you're going uphill and it's steep, and you fall backwards, then you're less likely to get injured on a trail like this. it allows you then to pay less attention, right? Because you're not having to look what every step is going to land. You can just kind of walk along and enjoy the view, and you don't pay as much attention to what's going on the trail. When you get on to rocky terrain or start walking up a steep grade, it changes your situational awareness. Okay, this is not smooth. This is not easy. I need to pay attention now to what I'm doing. Now, to say I won't fall there in the future I'm not saying that. I probably will someday fall in one of those rocky trails, and so I'm not saying I never fall or I won't fall in that kind of place. But it's less likely to be because I'm being careless, because I'm more aware of the situation. I'll also say I stumbled a lot more times on the trail, like dozens of times, but I only fell 2 times, which I'm grateful for. And what I ended up doing is every time I stumble, I just repeat the same mantra. Pick up your feet, Tim. Pick up your feet, Tim. Stumble again. Pick up your feet, Tim. At one point, Deb said, you know what? That's actually a good reminder. Like when you fall, like every time you trip, just to remind yourself, to remind the people you with, pick up your feet, Tim. Pay attention. The following week, after we got off the trail, I went home for lunch, which I do most days. It's a short walk, and Deb she's back in school now, but she was home that day, and she greeted me at the door, and she made lunch for me, and we sat there, and as I was eating, I saw something on my phone, and then I started looking at my phone, and then I started, kind of scrolling through as I'm eating, and probably, 35, 40 minutes-ish later, Deb left the door, went out the door, and said, I'm going to the store, and closed the door. And there was something about the way, it was not like, she didn't slam the door, she didn't have there was just something about the way that she exited. It's like, I don't think something's right here. So I went out, I caught her when she's getting in the door, and I said, are you mad? And yes, she was mad. Like, what in the world? She said, I stayed home. I had stuff to do. I stayed home to have lunch with you, and you've been on your phone the whole time that you've been here. And, I don't know about you, but my immediate response was, yeah, but, you, right? And it's like I caught myself. It's like, no, she's right. You just stumbled over a situation because you were not aware of what was going on. And she went to the store, and I wrote her a note, apologizing and saying she was right, and just like, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry for that. And she got home, she read the note, thanked me for the note, and then said, I feel bad, I made such a big deal out of it. And I said, no, you were right. And I think she was trying to say, hey, don't grovel in this. We do dumb stuff, whatever. I wasn't groveling. What I was saying was, pick up your feet, Tim. Now, I have a lot of self-talk. Some of you have self-talk. My self-talk, this is like, pick up your feet, Tim, is actually a pretty encouraging reminder versus some of the other things. What's wrong with you? That's my typical self-talk. What's wrong with you? Just pick up your feet, Tim. Pay attention. Proverbs say, give careful thought to the paths for your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet. Be steadfast in all your ways. Pay attention. The Living Bible translates the same passage, watch your step, stick to the path, and be safe. Now, translations do a lot of different things for different reasons, and I just want to say I think that's a really, really poor translation. To say stick to the path and be safe, it does not really capture. It's saying pay attention to what you're doing, but it doesn't say never leave the trail, which I have to set up because exactly what's happened in the next lesson from the journey is we're going to leave the trail and we're going to get lost. All right, so we are backpacking in the 10 Lakes Basin. And on the second day, we're going to do a loop. So if you look at the X is where our campsite is. Go back, Ron, sorry. The X is where the campsite is. We're going to go around Lake 1, 2, 3 to Lake 4, and then loop back around to where we started. There's a trail. It's a rough trail, but there's a trail from Lake 1, 2, and 3. But from 3 to 4, there's no trail there. And somewhere along the line, and I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but somewhere along the line, we lost the trail. And if next slide here, you'll see that the orange line is where we went. There's a little gap right there where the yellow arrow is. That was our line, and we just barely missed it. But because we missed our line, we ended up, next slide here is going to show you, like that's where the X, where we should have hit the line that goes down, and we ended up about like all the way over there in the middle of the mountain. And from there, all we can really see is rocks up behind us and trees down in front of us. And then there's a ridge up here, and it's like, where do we go now? And you get into this place, it's like, we don't want to go back because then you have to hike up and you don't know for sure where you need to be when you get there. And you don't want to go down because you never really know, like it looks like you can go down, but then you come to some steep drop and you can't go that, and then you have to go back up. So we're sitting there and we're looking at the maps and we're hiking up to the ridge and we're hiking down here and hiking up a little bit this way. And I'm going to say we were there for a while, trying to figure out which way to go. And eventually, we made a decision. We picked a direction. We went down, and we were off the trail in 20 minutes. Like, we were that close to being. Now, we didn't end up where we wanted. We didn't get to the lake. We ended up in this meadow, which was just a little, like a quarter mile from our campground. So we did not go where we wanted to go, but we were also not standing on the side of a mountain anymore, which is good. The interesting thing about that meadow is that you can't tell is it actually has quicksand-like features. You start walking across it and you just start sinking into the ground, and then you start running because it's like, if I stand here too long, I'm not sure I'm getting out. Your boots going every time you walk. The wisdom, another proverb of the prudent, is to give thought to their ways. The last proverb says, think about where you're going. This proverb says, think about where you've been. So after we came off the trail, we're thinking, what in the world just happened? And just kind of replaying the situation and looking again at the track that we had taken. And what I realized was we were lost, but we were never that lost. Like, from where we were less than a half mile to the meadow. We were just about a half mile from where we needed to take a turn. If you remember the picture with where we were at, smack dab in the middle of 5 lakes, right? Somewhere you go this far, this way, this far, you're going to find your way out. I've been in situations where, like, the decisions get real. Like, we can't afford to make any more mistakes here. We got to get this right. This was not one of those situations, right? We just needed to, like, pick a direction and go there because nothing was that far away. So it was hot. We got a little hungry. Maybe our thinking was clouded from being a little fatigued, whatever. But our situation was never dire. I find that I get off the trail often in my thoughts. Like, just start down a path. I'm thinking I'm going here, and all of a sudden my brain is over here, and I start analyzing and playing out different scenarios and worrying about potential consequences, and make what some people call mountains out of proverbial molehills. and all of a sudden things feel much bigger, much weightier. The paralysis of analysis is when really we're standing on the side of the mountain trying to make a decision that really just was not that important of a decision to make. And we had done this trail before on the previous trip, and it was Deb and Jesse and I, and we did it the reverse direction, but we actually made it. So I knew it could be done. That much. And so when I'm starting to think about lessons from this part of the journey, my first lesson was this. When you're going off trail, bring Jessie. She got us there. Then I think of this. Jesus said, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? It's like count the cost. Think about what you're doing before you're going to do it. And that's my kind of MO. I'm very prone to estimating the cost, looking at things, slicing them and dicing them from every direction, thinking through things, to the point where sometimes I'm just stuck. Jesus also said, and this is the parable of the talents, he's talking to it's a parable of a master who gives his servants treasures that they're to use while he goes away, and they're to put them to use. And when he gives the talents to one of the servants, it says, he says, the man who had received 5 bags of gold, who received this, says, went at once and put his money to work. Right? He didn't sit around and think about it for 4 days. And he went at once. He took what God had given him, and he walked away, and he did something with what he had been given. There are times, situational awareness, there are times where it's really, really, really important to estimate the cost, to count the cost. But there's also times where there are a host of good choices. And the right choice is to just do something. It might take you a little bit. You will find out quickly that you're off, but just get out of myself and just do something. Move in a direction. I was lost, but we weren't that lost. The third lesson, and go figure, we're also lost again in a different way. The next day, on one of our other hikes, we decided to go to another lake, off trail. Deb did it. I mean, she did. She maybe gave me a little bit of a look, like, really? We're going to go off trail again? Kaylee had packed out, so she wasn't with us now. We're going to go to North Lake. It's closer. You can see right there where we are and where we're going. And it's up a ridge, like it's a mile away, nothing too bad. And we're hiking down the trail, and we get to a point, and Deb's going to take a picture, and she reaches into her pocket, and her phone is gone. Probably somewhere in some situation like this, walking over a rock, and the phone got in a pocket got in an awkward direction. The phone falls out of her pocket. Now, even in a short hike like this, there are hundreds of different lines that you can take to get there. I mean, there's different dirt paths, and there's parts where you're scrambling over rocks, a couple pretty long sections, and to retrace your steps in a place like that it's almost nearly impossible. It's like they look different. If you go here, the whole thing looks different. When you're coming back one way from the other way, it looks different. It was very obvious pretty quickly that it was highly unlikely that we were going to find the phone. So we decided, hey, we're just going to continue on with our hike. We're going to go around the lake, hang out here, and we'll do our very best on our way back to try and find the phone. And as we started back, we got to the point where we realized the phone was gone, and I whispered a little prayer, and I think Deb probably did too. We didn't stop and pray together in that moment. It was just like, God, if we're going to find this phone, you're going to have to bring it. Because there's all these places. You can be in the wrong place. You could be in the right place, but could have slid down a rock or gone into a crevice or down into a bush. It's like this thing is going to have to jump out and bite us like a snake. God, if we're going to find this thing, it's going to be something like that. And we did retrace our steps and, kind of did our best to look around, but we didn't kill ourselves. We didn't spend hours doing it. We finally got to the end of the trail, and it's like the phone is gone. Now, losing your phone isn't going to wreck your life. I suppose, depending on who you are, it's a bigger or lesser deal. And for me, there was a point in my time in this exact scenario that if Deb had lost her phone, I would have gone to things like, why did you have your phone in your pocket in the first place? I mean, you could see the pocket shallow, like that. Obviously, something was you're going to lose the phone. And I would have thought, because, phones are expensive and they keep getting more. Oh my gosh, this is going to cost us so much. And if we had that money, we could get, 10 kids water and, calculating all the things we could have done with the money that we lost. And it's like all of those things are things that my mind, my brain could go to. And Deb and I talked about it. It's like, we get 5 days on the trail a year. We are not going to let a lost phone take one of our days. It's a hassle being without it, retrieving the content, buying a new phone, all that stuff. But we could have spent hours looking for that phone. And situational awareness, it was nearly impossible to find. Lose the phone, okay. Don't lose the day. Stuff happens. Don't lose the day because this thing happened. Let it go. Deb and I, and I've introduced this to the church several times. There's an app, you can find it in the App Store called the Pause app. And we use it often. In fact, we use it almost every night when we go to bed. And it's the Pause app begins with these words: Lord, I give everyone and everything to you. I give everyone and every. It's not like saying it doesn't matter. It's not saying it's not important. It's saying, hey, I'm going to bed tonight, and I can't control this, God. Take care of it. It's in your hands. Situations that are beyond our God, I'm not diminishing this, but I'm giving it to you because I can't make it right. I can't fix it. Let it go. Cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. Cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. Number 4, again, we start with the word lost. When we got back to our campsite, it was that day. A large and loud group had moved into what I'm going to call our neighborhood. Where are the 2 dots there on this side of the lake? They are all the dots on the other side of the lake. And they're making a lot of noise. And I just have this thing, you don't need to hike 7 miles carrying 40 pounds over a 9,600-foot pass to cause a ruckus, right? You can do that anywhere. You do not need to come out here. When you step onto the trails, there's a code. There's a reverence for the sanctuary of creation that you're entering into. And in my mind, this is a bunch of, I couldn't see them. I just hear it. It sounded like a bunch of college kids who had come up and they were partying. And what we lost was peace and quiet. And situational awareness. I'm just you do not understand the situation you are in. Stop it. Please just stop it. They did calm down for a while, but I could hear them for most of the afternoon into the evening. And we sat there, we had dinner, and after dinner we decided to take a walk, and we decided we were going to walk around that side of the lake. I don't know what I was thinking. I actually wanted to see the other side of the lake, but maybe I wanted to see them and give them a glare or something. They would see that. I don't know, right? We decided to walk around the lake. And as we got right to where that red line is, we ran into two of the rebel rousers, and they were not college age because they were like 14. And they were asking us for directions to how to get off the trail. And it's like, all right. And we told them where they needed to go to get off the trail. And we walked a little farther. And now we're walking, and they're all camped out on the hill, up the hill, and we're walking by. And this guy yells something down at us. It's like, are you talking to us? You're yelling at us? He said, did you lose a phone? Right? They found the phone lying on the trail. And it was a Boy Scout troop, troop number 121 from Echo Park. That night, we went back to our campsite, and they serenaded the whole entire Tin Lakes Basin unapologetically. Started out with Native American chants, which I think maybe they were from like the Tahquitz tribe, which some of our folks are from, which, again, I would prefer that my environment be peaceful and quiet still. Those chants were probably being sung in the Tin Lakes Basin like hundreds of years before I ever crossed the Basin Pass. So they were not totally out of place, as it were. They went on to sing other songs, still very loudly, but none of it as loud as their rousing rendition of Country Roads. I mean, it was echoing through the basin. And I don't even, how Country Roads became like the theme song of the World Cup for the U.S. team. I don't know, how did that happen? Why that song? How did they pull that out? That's like, it's old John Denver. I just can't even, boggles my mind. And they knew it word for word, and they sang it loud. I would prefer that my trail be quiet. I would actually prefer that my best day on the trail is when I don't see another human being that I'm not with for like a whole day. That if they are there, I don't want to see them, and I definitely don't want to hear them. But they weren't a bunch of rebel rousers. They were a group of kids out there, Boy Scouts, 3 leaders who had the courage, the grace, the inclination, the willingness to take 12 kids out into the wilderness. I love that. I love them for doing that. I love the kids for being willing to do it. It's totally different. It's totally different when you make a connection and we start, even in a small way, we start to build a relationship. The lesson is this. It's not a new lesson, but it's an important lesson. Love covers a multitude of sins. I didn't want to put up with it when I didn't know them. But once I met them, once I learned a couple names, once they found our phone, it's like it's completely different context. It's a completely different situation. And we all have neighbors. We all have neighbors. And I'm just telling you, when we get to know them, even a little bit, it's a lot easier to be annoyed by them, to be frustrated, to be angry when you don't know them, when you meet them, when you start to know their story. Like, we have people that don't, more and more, social media puts us into these silos, and everybody has their camp. And if you don't know somebody in that camp, political stripes, ethnicity, gender, all these different things. If you don't know people in those camps, it's real easy to form opinions and have perspectives and get riled up. Love covers a multitude of sins. Okay, 4 lessons from the journey. Does something in there connect for you? I'm not asking you, and does something connect? I hope so. Something speaks to where you are in your journey. If not, at least would you do this? Take the Proverbs. Take the Proverbs. And I'm going to find them as I go back farther and farther. Here we go. Give careful thought to the path for your feet. Be steadfast in all your ways. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways. And we can blast through day after day after day without ever stopping and saying, hey, what's going on? Where is God in this? What can I learn from this part of my experience? This might be good news, it might be bad news, I don't know. I actually have 5 lessons to the journey. You're only getting 4 today, which means there will be a sequel, a segment 2 to lessons from the journey next week. All right? Lord, thanks that wherever we are in our journey today, in our relationships, in our health, in our finances, in our faith, that there's nowhere we go, nowhere we've been, nowhere we are, that you are not with us. That it is in you that we live and move and have our being. And that you're always at work in the midst of all the stuff of our lives, seeking to reveal yourself to us, that we might know you, that we might know your will, that we might know your way, that we might deepen our faith. Help us to see, Lord. Help us to see. Give us the fortitude, the wisdom, the discipline to stop for a minute and look, to ask. Guide us in our next steps. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.